If it were any other two presidents with a bit more disclosure, a bit more detail, the story may not be such a big deal, but it is these two presidents, both Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, who did not disclose a second meeting until now, and who have not offered many details of said conversation. Here's what we know. A senior White House official tells CNN that near the end of this dinner with other G20 leaders, Putin and Trump spoke for nearly an hour through a Russian translator. The American translator was not there. In a statement, the White House says this about the meeting, quoting, "It is not merely perfectly normal, it is part of the president's duties to interact with world leaders." The White House also disputed the discussion as a second meeting, but instead referred to it as a brief conversation. So, how should we be reading this? I have with me CNN counterterrorism analyst Phil Mudd, who is also a former CIA counterterrorism official, and Lindsay Moran is with us. She's a former undercover CIA operative and author of Blowing My Cover, My Life as a CIA Spy. So, Phil, you first. Is this a big deal?
I don't think it is. I think it's significant that they met. Look, you think about the issues that are on the global stage now, especially the effort to get a solution in Syria. You think about the president's questions on things like election meddling, what's going on in Crimea and Ukraine. You think about broader issues, the Iran nuclear deal, North Korea. Remember, this is happening through translation. So over the course of this meeting, these two meetings, they meet for 3+ hours. In translation, that's an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. I think it's good for a president who's not known, look at healthcare, not known for dealing with detail, that he actually wanted to get into detail. There is one outstanding question. What the heck happened there? And I'd like to know that, but I think the fact that the meeting is okay.
Well, isn't that part of the issue? I mean, Lindsay, a lot of people are pointing out it was this Russian translator instead of having a single American president other than the President of the United States. How do you see it?
Well, yeah, I think that is an issue. I mean, I would just say from a strategic, symbolic, and from a security point of view, it just seems ill-advised. What it looks like is not good, and what it looks like from the Kremlin perspective. I mean, if you're in human intelligence, in collections, the ideal circumstances are for you to get the person alone. So I think before the world stage, we've seen Putin get Trump alone. And what does that say symbolically? What does it say strategically? I think, again, it shows our administration to be a little bit of amateur hour. I mean, you don't want to make it look like Putin is in control, and that's what it looks like. It looks like he's the puppet master.
The whole notion of getting him alone, I was reading a piece in one of the papers this morning. Stephen Pfeiffer, former ambassador to Ukraine, said exactly this in the New York Times. If I was in the Kremlin, my recommendation to Putin would be, see if you can get this guy alone, and that's what it sounds like he was able to do. But Phil, back over to you. You know, you read the Washington Post, and they float these three theories. Let me throw this on both of you. One, could be something nefarious. Two, the ignorance defense. He's the president, hasn't really been in government all that long, didn't really totally know. Or three, that Trump is addicted to causing controversy, right? He knew we'd be buzzing by going over and talking to, of all people, Vladimir Putin. Which do you think it is, Phil Mudd?
Well, I'm not sure it's any of those. I guess it's closest to two, but let me do something I've never done in my life and will never do again. Let me give Sean Spicer some talking points.
Okay.
The President of the United States has met world leaders before. He met the Chinese leader at Mar-a-Lago. He's never met somebody who Obama tried to reset with and Bush 43 tried to reset with. The conversations, the official conversations during the day were so in-depth that the President decided to continue with them at dinner. The issue, again, is there's no other American president, and we don't want to know what happened. But I think if I were at the White House, I'd say, spin this right, boys. The president wanted to get into the dirt, and he did that evening. What's wrong with that?
Lindsay, would you buy the spin?
No, I wouldn't buy that spin at all. I mean, everything about it, even randomly, even randomly poaching the Japanese interpreter. Again, it smacks of amateur hour. It makes us look silly. And it makes us look silly in the eyes of the world, and as if we're being very, very skillfully manipulated by the Kremlin. And I think we've seen that again and again.
Well, there's another off-camera White House briefing. We'll see if said talking points are received by the press people, and we'll listen in to see how they spin it. Phil Mudd or Lindsay Moran, thank you both so very much.
Thanks.